In this example, we're going to find the derivative of f, and then we're going to evaluate it at x equals 5 and round to 4 places where it's possible. And we're defining f of x as 2 sine x divided by 2 plus cosine x. Now, we're going to use the quotient rule, and the quotient rule says you take the derivative of the top, so this is going to be my top function. I'll label that g of x. So anywhere I have anything to do with g, I'm going to underline it in red so we can color coordinate. Then the bottom function, I'm going to call that h of x. So that's going to be here, here, and here. So the quotient rule says that to find the derivative of f, you take the derivative of the top, which is g of x, times h of x, minus the derivative of h of x, that's the bottom, times g of x, all over h of x squared. So we identified g of x as 2 sine x, and we identified h of x as 2 plus cosine x. So now when I go to find the derivative, I first need to find this, the derivative of g. So the derivative of g, that's the top function, 2 sine x. The derivative of 2 sine x is going to be 2 cosine x. There's my g of x. Now, next I'm going to do times h of x. So when I multiply this times h of x, that gives me 2 plus cosine x. And then I'm going to subtract the derivative of h of x. So now I'm looking right here. I'm finding the derivative of the bottom. That's my h of x. The derivative of 2 plus cosine x is going to be negative sine x, because the 2 is a constant, so that disappears. And the derivative of cosine x is negative sine x. And then we're going to multiply that by g of x. That's right here. So I'm going to multiply that by 2 sine x. And then all of this gets divided by h of x squared. So this is going to be 2 plus cosine x squared. So now we've got the derivative here, but now we just got to simplify it. So I'm just going to FOIL everything on the top to start. So I'm going to take 2 cosine x and multiply it by 2. That gives me 4 cosine x. Then I'm going to take 2 cosine x times cosine x. That's going to give me 2 cosine squared x. This negative and this negative become a positive. And so when I take sine x times 2 sine x, that's going to be a positive 2 sine squared x. And that's all over 2 plus cosine x squared. Okay, let's keep simplifying this. I am going to pull out, because I recognize that I have a very famous identity in here. I'm going to pull out the 2 that's here and here. I'm going to factor that out. So I have 2 times cosine squared x plus sine squared x. Now, the reason why I factored out that 2 that's right here is because this right here is our famous identity. Cosine squared x plus sine squared x is equal to 1. So that big mass simplifies to 2 times 1. So I have on the top 4 cosine x plus 2 times 1, which is just 2, all over 2 plus cosine x squared. Now, if you want, you can factor out a 2 on the top, but it's not going to get you anywhere. It's still going to be the same, like nothing cancels. So you could either write it like this, or if you take it further and you factor out a 2, you're just going to end up with this, which is fine. but there's nothing you can really cancel there. So either way, either one of these is fine. It's as simplified as you're going to get. So now we need to evaluate this at 5. Now notice here, when I look at how it's asking me to evaluate it, it doesn't have 5 degrees, it's just 5. If there's no degree symbol there, then you're assuming that it's in radians. Okay, so make sure your calculator is in radian mode. So when you evaluate this, you get the correct answer. So I'm going to plug in everywhere I see X, I'm plugging in 5. Keeping in mind that this is going to be in radians. So here I plugged in 5 here and here. I'm using this version. If you use this for the other version, it's fine. So I plugged in 5 here and here. And when you evaluate that on your calculator, making sure you're in radians, your final answer should be 0.6011 when you round it to 4 places.